All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into a promotional review for a men's health supplement called ProstaVive. We're basically going to break down how they're making their case, from the problem they say it solves, all the way to the proof they offer up.
And, it kicks off with something a lot of guys can probably relate to. This quote right here. It just gets straight to the point, doesn't it? The sheer frustration of not being able to sleep through the night. This is the exact pain point ProstaVive is aiming to fix.
Okay, so here's our game plan for unpacking all this. We'll start with the problem itself, then look at what they're promising. After that, we'll get into the formula, see what the user timeline looks like, cover the nitty-gritty of safety and cost, and then wrap it all up with the review's final take. All right, let's jump right into Section 1. We're going to look at the core problem they're targeting and how this product is positioned as the solution. The whole review really hinges on this really common issue that comes with an aging prostate. So what's interesting here is how the review frames the issue. It's not just a simple mechanical problem. They define BPH as this kind of complex condition, pointing to hormonal shifts, inflammation, even poor circulation. And setting it up like that is super important because it paves the way for a solution with multiple ingredients. And this is the solution they put forward. According to the review, ProstaVive isn't just another pill. It's pitched as this daily plant-based powder, a kind of defense system for your comfort, your flow, and what they call your overall male vitality. Okay, so that's the setup. Now, let's see how they build on that in Section 2. What benefits are you actually supposed to get from this? The source is really specific about the order here. Yeah, the review basically lays out this domino effect. It all starts with the most immediate issue, right? Urinary comfort. Once that's handled, they claim he starts sleeping better and have more energy. Then, that leads to better hormonal and sexual health. And the big payoff is, you guessed it, a better quality of life overall. Okay, that's a pretty compelling story they're telling. But the big question is, how does the formula supposedly pull all this off? Section 3 is where we get under the hood and look at the ingredients. So the whole argument from the review really comes down to this multi-pronged attack. You've got saw palmetto to help with DHT, pygum for inflammation, beta-sitosterol for bladder strength, and then zinc and selenium for hormone support. The big idea here is that these ingredients aren't working alone, they're a team. And then the source draws this really clear line in the sand. On one side, you have traditional meds, which they say just block things and can lead to side effects like dizziness or fatigue. But on the other side, they position ProstaVive as something that modulates or kind of balances things out naturally, with, they claim, very few side effects. So that's the theory. But what about the actual results? Let's get into Section 4, which dives into the user-reported data from the review to see what the experience is supposed to be like. The source maps out a really clear journey here. They're saying by week 2, you should already notice you're not getting up as much at night. By week 4, that turns into a stronger flow and more continuous sleep. But week 8, that's presented as the real game changer, where they claim urgency and frequency can drop by more than half. And check out the numbers they use to back that up. These are the 8-week claims from an internal survey. We're talking a 61% drop in nighttime bathroom trips, a 58% boost in flow, and a 65% improvement in sleep. These are the hard numbers the source uses to really sell its effectiveness. All right, so the claims and the data they present, it all looks pretty impressive. But what about the practical stuff? Let's jump into Section 5 and get into the fine print. Safety, what people are complaining about, and of course the price. So, on the safety front, the review makes a point of saying it's made in a GMP-certified facility. They also claim that less than 2% of people report any side effects, and even then, it's just mild digestive stuff. No serious problems have been documented. This is all to build the case that, hey, this is something you can take every day for the long haul. Now, when it comes to complaints, the review is pretty strategic. The problems they bring up are almost all about logistics or, well, user error. Things like shipping delays or confusion over refunds because people bought from the wrong website, or just being impatient and expecting results in a week. You'll notice none of these complaints are actually about the product not working, which is a clever way to protect its reputation. And that brings us to a huge warning from the review. They draw a really sharp line. The real deal is only on the official website and comes with that refund guarantee. Anything you see on Amazon or eBay, they are basically saying that's a potential fake, which puts all the risk back on you, the buyer. Okay, let's talk money. The pricing is set up to get you to buy more,
Obviously, a single bottle is $79, but if you buy a 6-month supply, that price drops all the way to $39 a bottle. And they really push that 180-day money-back guarantee. But, and this is the important part, it only counts if you buy from the official site.
All right, we've gone through the problem, the promise, the formula, the data, and all the fine print. So let's head into our final section and see how the source wraps this all up. What's the final verdict?
Well, this final evaluation table pretty much says it all, doesn't it? There's really no gray area here. The review gives it top marks, we're talking 5 stars, on almost everything. Ingredient quality, safety, the refund policy, the whole shebang. Even the user feedback score is a super high 4.8.
So, at the end of the day, the review's conclusion is simple and direct. They position ProstaVive as a solid, evidence-backed choice for guys who want to deal with prostate wellness without turning to prescription drugs and their potential risks.
So after peeling back all the layers of this review, you're left with this really well-crafted, compelling story. And it all boils down to one critical question that any of us face as consumers, right? When you're presented with a case that's this polished and positive, how do you separate the actual science from a really good sales pitch? And that's the thought we're going to leave you with.